Yo, what's going on, guys? So as you can see here, we've got it pulled up, the command prompt. So basically, or the terminal, I should say, basically what we're going to teach today is simply learning how to just use basic command prompts. Theoretically, you could use just the Windows command prompt. I just have this pulled up. We can do some of it from the Windows. If you guys like, I can do a video on that, but I just use my Kali machine. Again, these are all things that you should be able to do from a Windows machine. Now, some of this might need to be edited for a Windows machine. So just put in the comments below if you're not sure, like if one of the you know options doesn't work for you or something. It may need to be converted to Windows or changed. So what we're going to do today is very basic, but this is one of the first steps, enumerating information. This is just simply how to gather information just using your command prompt. This is the very basics. What I'm going to do with this course basically is I'm going to try and upload at least one video a week. And what this is when you're studying for your CEH, these are the labs that you need to know how to do. Okay, so I will go through them with Linux, and then if people can't convert them over to Windows themselves, feel free to tell me that, and I'll upload a Windows video as well. But I think they're fairly common. So first one's going to be ping. Obviously, you guys know ping. Anytime you have an issue with a command with Linux, you can just type help. Excuse me. Obviously, you'll get your commands. Now with Windows, you can type help as well, and you can get a list of options. Now that's important because anything I say, you can find that option later. So what we're going to do, I do have notes below me here, but we're just going to go through, and the very first thing we're going to do, and typically when you're taking your CEH, they will have you do these labs with their websites. I'm not going to use their website simply because I don't necessarily have permission. Again, I've already taken the CEH course, but I'm also going to. I know that Nmap allows you to scan their network, or scan their website. So that's what we're going to use today. So first thing we're going to do is ping, and then there's a nmap.scanme.org. If you guys don't know what this is, it's just a simple Nmap website that they allow you to scan. So we'll just ping it first. This is a very first command we're going to learn. As you can see, we get a reply. Okay, so that's really good. So you see that there's a couple of things on here I want you guys to pay attention to. You see the time to live is 128, so that's just defaulted to that, and that's good. And you see that we actually got a reply from linode.com, which we'll get to that here in a second, but that's kind of important information. But the big thing here is we also have the IP. So that's a simple way to just get the IP address of whatever the website you're trying to reach. So there you go, you got the IP. That's important already. So what you're going to do is, as you're enumerating this information, you're going to be keeping track of things that you find. Something as simple as an IP, you're going to keep track of that so that you know where it is and you know what it is in the future. So that's the very first one. We're obviously super simple. And now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out basically the size of the packet that it will accept. Okay, so we're going to do ping again. You can do all this with ping. So we're going to do ping, and then on Linux, you're going to type, I believe it's tac F or tac L, but I'll have to look at it. I don't use Linux that much, but I'm going to do tac S for size. Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and use that same map, or that same size, and then we're just going to try it with 1500. That's just the size of the packet, and we'll see if it'll take it. So Nmap, and you can do the .scanme.org. You can do the IP rather than the actual website now that you know the IP. We'll see. Okay, so I'm not getting a response. So let's see, 4 packets sent, nothing received. Okay, and if you want to, you can just put a tac C for count and just put 1, and that will just allow 1 packet, and you'll instantly get a response that says, nope, didn't work. So, but I prefer personally to do it this way. So let's go ahead and lower it. Let's lower it to 1300 and see if that works. Okay, so we're getting replies. So instantly we got a reply. So we know it's somewhere between 1500 and 1300 that it's going to allow bytes, that it's going to allow into the network. So let's try and up this to 1400. Okay, so we got a response. Perfect. So now let's just go 1450. And I already know the size of this. I'm just showing you guys. Okay, so it took 1450. Excuse me, guys. So it took 1450. So let's go. We know it's between 1450 and 14 or in 1500. So we'll go 1475. Okay, so it looks like it's not taking it. Didn't take 1475. Let's try 1465. Okay, took it. And that was actually 1473. So let's go ahead. It says 1473 bytes from, let's go ahead and do 1474, because we know it didn't take 1475. Okay, it's not taking it. So now let's go back and do 1473, which is what it already did. Okay, didn't take it. So that's all right. But we saw that it actually took the 1473 before. It just added a little bit, but that's fine. We saw that 1473. So 1473 is the actual amount it will take. That's important to know, because what's going to happen is if you ever try and send a payload, anything like that, you want to know how much you need to fragment your packets by, because it's only going to accept this size packet. Now, that's just interesting information to know. You would note that down and keep that in mind in case you're trying to send a packet later and it's too large, it's not getting through, something like that. But you know it will accept a ping of 1473 bytes. So that's important stuff to know, guys. Now, another thing that's really important to know is the time to live. Remember I said that the time to live, you see it defaulted to 128. So we're going to go ahead and change that. So if we go up here, we can see right here, TAC T is time to live. Okay, so we're going to do ping, same place. We're going to change T, or time to live, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to say, let's do 10. So this is how many hops it's going to take, okay? So every time it touches something, that's 1. So if it reaches 0 before it reaches the end, I'm not going to get a response. So let's go ahead and enter. Okay. 3 packets sent, nothing received. So it died before it got there. So let's go up to 20. Or let's just do 15. Okay, so I got a response at 15. Okay. So that means it took 15 hops, and that's good. So now let's do 20. Still getting a response. Okay. What's up, bro? Alright, fair enough. Now, give me one sec, guys. Alright. So anyway, so you notice it's time to live's 20. Still got a response. Okay. So we already got a response at 15. So we actually need to go down. We know it's between 10 and 15 now, because we did. Oh, well, we didn't actually try 10, did we? Yeah, we did. So we didn't get a response at 10, and then we got a response at 15. So it's got to be in between there. So let's go 13. Okay, we're getting a response at 13. Let's go 11. Cut it in half. No response at 11, so it's either got to be 12 or 13. Okay, so it's 12. So the reason that's important is that means it's taken 12 hops before it gets to its destination. So we can actually trace that out. So if you guys haven't heard, this is called traceroute. And I think on Windows it's tracert, but we'll use traceroute. I can type traceroute, okay, and then we're gonna just do regular. We're not gonna do anything. I am gonna do attack I, and that's only because I'm using a VM. So my firewall won't actually recognize it. It's basically my firewall rules are set up to block this, so it's not going to show the route, which is fine. So we're going to go traceroute nmap.scanme.org. Okay, and you'll see that it's 30 hops max. So if you know your hops are more than that, boom, and you can see it is 12 hops. So all those asterisks are just things that my firewall or their firewall blocked, is all it is. Just FYI, that's all you're looking at. These are all blocked by probably my firewall. The reason I say that is because I can do this on my actual machine, not on the VM, and it works just fine. But for this scenario, this works to show you guys. The TAC I just emphasizes ICMP packets, and you can see I did get a response from their final destination, but it shows that it is 12 hops. So that's important. So each one of these is a hop that it's taken. So let's say it's going to LA, then to Australia, then to Italy. Like if you have VPNs and stuff, it's going to take those hops and you're going to see those. So that's important information because you need to know where you're going, basically, right? You don't want to blindly be going into something. So that's important to know. You also want to know how long you need to put on these time to live packets, right? Especially if you're going internally. So that's super simple, guys, super easy. And as you saw, you can do that with ping as well. The only difference with the ping command, where you put the count on it, or the time to live on it, I'm sorry, is you're not going to get IP returns like you do with tracer, or traceroute as they call it. So, all right, guys, so now what we're going to do is we're basically, just looking at my notes here, we already did the time to live. We've already shown that. We're not going to kind of harp on that too much. It's pretty common knowledge. You guys understand the concepts of it. The big thing with traceroute is if you're in a network, an internal network, you can see the way it's taking its route out as well. That's important. So, all right. So what we're gonna do here, we already did time to live. We're not gonna harp on that again. But what we're going to do now is we're going to actually try and locate the DNS. Now, this is important. If you guys don't know what DNS is domain name server. So what this does is it actually assigns a name to an IP address. It's like your address at your house, right? The easiest way to remember DNS, in my opinion, is a cell phone, right? Back in the day, we used to have to write everybody's number down. You used to have a phone book or a notepad next to your phone, and that was how you remembered everyone's phone number. Now, I bet you couldn't tell me anybody's number, right? You just go, oh, well, it's just John in my phone right here, right? And then you just call him. That's DNS. DNS saves John to a number. So it saves his home computer or network or anything to a IP address. It's the same thing as an address book and a phone. The difference is an internal IP saves all your IPs behind the firewall. So if I can access your internal IP or your IP facing the network or facing the external network, I can get all the IPs for the network behind me. So that's really important to know, but that's the basic way of DNS. If you want to know more information, I can make a video on DNS, but basically that's the main gist of what you need to know for this purpose, okay? So what we're going to do here is we've already figured out how far it is, but NSLOOKUP, okay? If you've ever typed NSLOOKUP, that's basically saying give me whatever information I ask for. Now I'll show you here. So we're going to type NSLOOKUP, and this puts you into a different prompt. You see that? So now we're in the NSLOOKUP prompt, okay? Or DNS prompt, however you want to call it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually type nmap.org, or nmap, excuse me. So first we're going to set the type. I forgot about that because I did it already earlier. So set type A. This is just asking for an IP address. This isn't, when you set type A, it's saying just give me the IP address. It's not saying give me everything or give me anything specific. It's saying just give me the IP address. You don't have to give me the authoritative anything. Just show me, okay? So now we're going to do the nmap, or the scanme.nmap.org. Boom. Okay, so you can see here for this would be your DNS server, okay? You can see I have an internal IP. The reason that's important, I'm using a VM, okay? So my IP is hitting the virtual machine's hitting a real machine asking for it, rather than hitting Google's DNS server, which is default on most machines, which is 8.8.8.8. Okay, you'll see that all the time if you're messing with DNS. That is actually just saying, Google, just give me the information, boom, and that's how you get places typically. So like I said, this non-authoritative answer, what that means is this isn't a guarantee. This isn't, again, it's not authoritative. It's not coming from their DNS server. It's coming from the internet. So what that means is I need to get their DNS server, okay? So we're going to change the set type. So we're going to type equals, and we're going to say Cname, okay? And Cname, if you guys aren't familiar with DNS, that's for another video. But basically what this, without diving too deep into this, because this is a very basic video and it's just to show you guys how to gather simple information to start out. again, what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to try and do as many labs as I can that I know are in the CEH so that you guys can, if you feel comfortable with all the labs, practice them, get them good, and then you get the information and you understand it, then you'll understand what's going to be on the test and that type of stuff. Now, this is no way a prep course, because if you just do these labs, you're going to fail the test. I'll tell you right now. You need information as well. This is just labs that I know that they look for, okay? So again, you set the type. Now it's Cname, so now it's not asking simply for the IP address. It's actually asking for more information than that, okay? So that's important to know. So now we're just going to do the same thing, nmap. Oops. I always forget that it's scanme.nmap.org. Okay? Boom. So you can see here, we've got a couple of interesting things. So again, this is where it was asking initially for, right? But it says here, authoritative answers can be found from nmap.org, and the origin of that is ns1linnode.com. Okay? So you're telling me that your DNS origin is at this website, not at the actual website. So it's a domain, it's a different domain. Okay, cool. So we're going to set it back to A, because now we want to go back and try and get the authoritative answer. What did I do here? Oh, I messed that up. So it's all right. So we're going to ns lookup set type. I didn't put the type. A, boom. And we're going to do that ns1.linode.com. Okay? Boom. So even though it says non-authoritative answer, and it says we can find the authoritative answers from nmap.org. So let's try that. So we'll try nmap.org. Okay, so even though it's saying non-authoritative answer, right? It's saying that because it's no matter what I do, this is the DNS it's going to pull from. So no matter what, and that's just because it's a VM, okay? Now, I could change certain things and get it to work. It's not worth all that for showing purposes, because you can still see that the IP is different, okay? And that's important because they are saying right here that their origin is this website, right? They're saying that their authoritative answers are found on this right here, okay? And if you did the regular one up here, it was that 45.33.4 or .32.156. But down here it's a different IP. Okay, so that's interesting. Now again, on a regular machine you could get authoritative answers and you could guarantee it. But I'm going to go ahead and say that one of these IPs is probably their DNS server. Now why is that important? Because now I can query that DNS server rather than Google's DNS server, and I can gather information about their internal network. Now, again, guys, these are extremely simple, extremely easy examples of what you can do, but you can see that just from a Linux command or a Linux terminal or a Windows command prompt, because these can all be done on Windows, you can gather a decent amount of information. So what that means to me is I'll know your IP address. I can know how long it's going to take me to get there, how many hops, how big of a packet you're going to actually allow, and I can find your internal network IPs, all within this video is maybe 10, 15 minutes. So practice these, guys. Again, only do these with permission. You have to have permission, or you have to find a website that allows you to do this. Nmap is very good because their tool is a scanning tool. So Nmap, scanme.nmap.org is a very good tool. Now mess around with these internally on internal networks and practice these. These are very important. And the nice thing I like about this lab specifically is you don't need to download a VM. You don't need to use Linux. You don't need anything special. Not everyone, typically everyone has a laptop at home. Even if it's an old shitty laptop, you can do this at home, okay, with a Windows machine. It's very important to know because there are some things you have to specifically do with Linux. This is not one of them. So this is one of my favorite labs to show, to teach. And that's it, guys. It's that simple. These are just simple things that you can do to gather a little bit of information about sites or anything that you're needing really, because you can do NS lookups with IP rather than uh, an actual name as well. So if you have, an IP that that you have permission to use, again, mess around with this. Look at the help menus, look at the man pages. Try and figure out what you can and as much information as you can, because these are the type of labs. Again, this is an extremely simple one, but this is the first lab of the series, and we're going to keep coming out with these, and hopefully you guys like it, and hopefully they get more advanced for you guys, and you guys start to enjoy it a little bit more. But for now, for very big beginners, practice this. This is some of the stuff you're going to need to know, along with a lot of other information, but this is just a very quick way, a very quick method to get the labs done for your CEH and practice them. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you want me to do this in Windows for you so that the syntaxes and the options are correct, let me know. If you think you can do it, by all means, practice it up and let me know, guys. Let me know how it goes. Thank you very much. Have a great day.